Hey there, peace and love, everybody. Today is the 19th of December. I had to think about it for a second. Today is the 19th of December, 2021. For those of you who, uh, some of you know me, some of you may be checking this out for the first time. My name is Royce Fletcher Thomason. I'm a minister. I happen to also be a person who's blessed with being able to be a vessel of healing for people, and I've been able to do that for quite a while now, for over 20 years, and I'm thankful to be able to say that that thousands of people across the globe have been blessed as a result of that blessing that I'm able to share. And so here we are. Today is the 19th of December. And so, see, I've got this Christmassy T-shirt on. I did not, by any means, initially intend to wear this T-shirt. I've never broadcasted in a T-shirt before. Um, for one of these lives where I'm speaking or doing healing, engaged in any kind of ministry-related work. Um, in fact, uh, I had ironed specifically to wear today a very colorful dashiki, and that is certainly what I thought I was going to wear. Um, but then I end up getting the sense to just wear this shirt. You can't see the whole shirt. It's a cat in a Santa outfit with a bag of goodies, treats inside, riding a unicorn, and there's another little cat that's kind of hanging on to the back. And uh, underneath these cats and the unicorn is the word believe, believe. And so this T-shirt actually happens to speak to what I was going to be speaking about today anyway. And so hence uh, I still have on the t-shirt and opted not to change out of it. But just to share with you a little bit about my journey, and by the way, sending out peace and love to everybody that's out there, everybody who's viewing either live or on YouTube or on Facebook. And I've got to start doing this on Instagram too. It's probably the best platform for me to be broadcasting on. But whether you're catching this live or in person, I'm sending out peace and love to you. And so the way that my own life journey is unfolded, and that just kind of gives context to what we're dealing with today, is yes, I'm a minister. I've been in ministry since 1996, and the way that my journey is unfolded is that I've been uh, several different places in this spiritual journey, and we're all ultimately on a spiritual journey, whether we know it or not, whether we consciously embrace that or consciously engage that or not. We're all ultimately spiritual beings having a human experience. Curly Conscious King, greetings to you, my brother. Peace and love, and happy Sunday to you as well. And so, the way that my own journey has unfolded is that I've been placed in contact with many people along their own spiritual journey. People who come from different backgrounds, from different educational backgrounds, different political backgrounds and ideologies, different financial status, um, all kinds of different things, but also different parts of the world, different ethnicities and cultures, but also different religions, and people from almost every major world religion, as well as people who practice various forms of indigenous spirituality, um, have all given me the honor of referring to me as a teacher of spiritual things. And and so we're dealing with today's topic as we're 1 week or less than 1 week. This is the last Sunday before Christmas, the Christmas holiday, or actually even the word holiday is you know, is holy day. It's just the I is substitute for Y, substituted for the Y. But a holiday is a holy day. I years ago I had a radio program, and it was a mix of talk and music. And the name of that program is "The Sacred Meets the Secular." And a lot of times in life and in the experience of living life on planet Earth, we distinguish that which is sacred from that which is secular. Um, but from my perspective, like every aspect of life, there's sacredness in it. Uh, and we just are called to find the sacredness and all expressions of life in all areas of our respective lives. And so we dealt with different topics on there. We played a variety of quote unquote secular music and more quote unquote spiritual music. Um, but all of the music we played had some kind of positive message in it. But at any rate, here we are in this very much spiritual holy day of Christmas. And I don't know if you can hear it in the background. I've got it hopefully low enough so that Facebook won't block the video. But I have soft Christmas music quietly playing in the background. And there's plenty of and I've been watching Christmas movies. There's plenty of um, Christmas music that you don't hear anything actively promoting Christ in the music. Same with movies. And this question kind of came up, really a two-sided question, which is on the screen now. In fact, both questions are on the screen now. One is, should non-Christians practice or celebrate Christmas? There's a song that Kirk Franklin and the family released 20 something years ago, um, maybe close to 30 years ago. And the name of this particular song is "Jesus is the Reason for the Season." Uh, in the event that you do not happen to know, uh, what the Christmas holy day is about is the birth of Yeshua HaMashiach, Jesus the Christ. You probably know a little bit about the story, um, how there was this immaculate conception, and his teenage mother was a woman of pure heart, not of great financial means, found herself carrying this sacred child. Um, she went and saw her elder cousin, who was up in years, who was also carrying this person who would be referred to as a harbinger of Christ, John the Baptist. And it says that when Mary entered the home, uh, that Elizabeth felt the baby leap in her stomach. They're like, John the Baptist and Jesus the Christ are only a few months apart in terms of when they were born. And these two cousins were pregnant at the same time, both of them miraculously, as it were. Uh, but that's really what Christmas is all about, the birth of Jesus, of Yeshua, who was born in humble circumstances, um, not born with a silver spoon in his mouth by any means, um, born in a situation where there wasn't even any room for him, at the hotel or at the inn, or he was end up being born outside with the animals. But that's what the essence of Christmas is: celebrating and I believe in birthdays, celebrating birthday. To me, it's a honoring of a person's life. It's a way of acknowledging and valuing the fact that somebody's presence on the planet has value and meaning and importance. In fact, I'll be celebrating some natal days after this broadcast today of some family members. Shout out to Jake and Dason. And so uh, Christmas is about acknowledging and celebrating this beautiful, wonderful life of Jesus the Christ. And yet, in many ways, it is a holiday that uh, doesn't necessarily, in many ways, focus on that so much. Where the focus is on the commercial aspects, right? The holiday shopping and um, you know so much commercialism, right? Is a big part of what this time has become. And as I'm wearing this cat dressed in a Santa uniform, um, I, by the way, do believe in Santa Claus. I don't know how I couldn't, as I've been Santa Claus before. But just to share with you a little bit of that history, yes, this man, Nicholas, was a person who lived in uh, an area where there were people who didn't have a lot. There were children who didn't have a lot, and um, he would actually literally sneak down the chimney of and into the homes where there were children who were financially destitute. And he felt, what better way to share the love of Christ and to acknowledge the beauty of Christ than to give to the poor and to bless them with something unexpected without having to get credit for it. That's really, to me, Santa Claus is a spirit, or the spirit of Santa Claus is the spirit of giving without needing, giving open heartedly without the need to be recognized as being the one who is the giver of the gift, right? That's the essence of what Santa Claus is really all about. Um, but there's this question, and let's explore this question together. And anybody who has any questions, feel free to post that in the chat. Of course, as always, if anybody has any health concern going on, feel free to post that as well. We'd be glad to offer some healing where that's concerned. But there's this question: should non-Christians celebrate Christmas? What are your thoughts? Should non-Christians celebrate Christmas? Mm, there are some who believe that it's sacrilegious for people who don't acknowledge Christ to celebrate Christmas. Um, what are your thoughts on that? In fact, there are some Christians who don't believe that Christians should even celebrate Christmas. They say it's a pagan holiday and all of this stuff. And um, Gene Thomason, peace and blessings to you. Uh, some say that, well, Jesus wasn't really born on December 25th. Why some say that he was born, speculate that he was born in January. Others speculate he was born in April. Others speculate different times. And, there are a lot of different things that are put out there. Uh, Questions about who should celebrate Christmas. Should anybody celebrate Christmas? And when we look at what happens at Christmas, yes, there is a way that people become very materially focused. There are times where people focus more on what they're going to get than what they're going to give. There are times where people are fighting over the newest electronic gadget in the store because they want to get it for their loved one, and other such things. Yeah, all those things come with the territory, because anywhere that you have humans interacting, you're going to have human egos present. And that also is part of the human journey. In fact, everything that humans interact with, humans bring themselves to the party, right? And we all have things that we're working out. We all have uh, areas where we miss the mark. And that literally is the definition of sin. We all have areas where we miss the mark. And in terms of should the non-Christian celebrate Christmas, Gene Thomason says, when I ask the question, who should celebrate Christmas? Gene Thomason says, any and all. I would tend to agree with that statement. And first of all, let me say that I don't go shooting on people regardless. um, I don't say too much of what somebody should do or what somebody should not do. You know, we are all on our own personal journey, and I don't want to place that judgment on people. Now, it is true, there's some things that are more beneficial than others. There are some things that aren't going to take us in a direction that's going to be advantageous for us or for anybody else, quite frankly. Um, but I'm not going to be too quick to should on anybody. You make the wrong turn, and there'll be a consequence that you'll end up paying as a result of that. My hope and my prayer is that you'll be able to get it right the first time around as much as possible without having to stub your toe or get that spanking uh, from stepping out of line and getting yourself in trouble. But the reality is, we all do it. We all get ourselves in trouble in different ways. And a lot of us, in many situations, have to learn the hard way through the process of trial and error, through mistakes that we've made, and hopefully growing along the way. There are times where I'm having conversation, and sometimes people think that I've always been where I am now, and where I'm not necessarily somebody who's just existed as a scoundrel in life. I've basically always aimed to kind of do the right thing, but I have definitely not always been where I am now. Where I am now is a result of me hitting my head, of me getting a little spanking, of me getting myself in trouble, of mistakes that I've made along the way, and coming to the conclusion that there has to be a better way. And so, through discipline, seeking that better way. Um, and I'll just put out there right now, real quick, Yeshua HaMashiach, Jesus the Christ, to me is the better way. Uh, and um, like I was saying earlier, I come across people, and people, refer to me as a teacher of spiritual things who come from many different spiritual backgrounds. Um, and I have found value in teachings and things from other places. And I most certainly read and study the Bible, and there have been other things that I've read and studied that actually illuminated things to me that are in the Bible. But in some of my readings and in some of my teachings, I've come across, or some of my studies, I've come across a lot of profound things. For those of you who know me as a healer, I developed a methodology um, called Transcending the Matrix, which I started teaching in September 2003. The title was largely inspired by the trilogy of movies referred to as the Matrix. Actually, I don't think all three of them had come out yet necessarily when I developed the methodology, but I don't recall yet. And the fourth in the series, I think The Matrix Resurrections is coming out um, this Wednesday. I'm looking forward to checking that out. But what what I'm getting at, maybe not so well, is that one of the things that I've learned on my life journey, and even in terms of the naming of this particular healing methodology that I developed and that I teach, is that there's so much more to life than what we see on the surface. What we see on the surface is just that, just the surface. But if you were try to comprehend the ocean by what you see on the surface, you would have a total um, a lack of understanding of the vastness and the power and the totality of the ocean. There's more life living in the ocean than there is living on land. Okay, in terms of animal life, in terms of plant life, there's more life living in the ocean than there is living on the land. And there's so much more to life than what it is that we can see, smell, hear, touch, and taste. Right? There's so much more than we see on the physical. And there was and that's where the healing comes in. I won't talk so much about that right now, but I will say this real quickly. I've seen some phenomenal things happen where a lot of miracles have taken place, where a lot of miracles have taken place. And uh, miracles are no surprise to God. They're a surprise to us sometimes because we're caught up in what we can see, smell, taste, and touch and hear, right? But there is so much more that exists in the mind of God. There's so much more that's available to us. There's so much more that's possible. And one of the things I read years ago that I found extremely fascinating is a series of books called The Life and Teachings of the Masters of the Far East by a gentleman by the name of Baird T. Spalding. The Life and Teachings of the Masters of the Far East. And in this series of books, this gentleman was an explorer, and he had the good fortune, as the story goes, of coming across some pretty profound folks where all kind of miraculous things were taking place. Some things such as what you read in the Bible. People going through fire, not being burned by it, the heat being taken out of the flame, and people who were hundreds of years old, and maintaining their youthfulness and their vitality, and just a myriad of really miraculous and profound things taking place. And these folks who had been around a long time, obviously they had tapped into some things that most of us are not tapping into. Okay, scripture talks about people who lived a long time. Methuselah is listed as living for 969 years. And there's some people who intellectually approach that and say, that's just pure allegory, and don't believe that it's possible for a human being to live that long. But the reality is, why not? Our bodies were designed in such a way as to self-regenerate. Our whole bodies replenish themselves. Every 7 years, we get a whole new body. But the reality is that we don't think new thoughts. Just about every day, we think the exact same thoughts or types of thoughts that we were thinking the day before. And so, because we're resisting growth, or we're staying locked into something that's kind of imprisoning us, we end up projecting from our mind, we end up projecting things into our body that result in sickness and dis-ease, right? And as a function of that, the body gets to a point where it just runs out of energy, and it actually, the spirit doesn't find it useful to continue to inhabit that body any longer, in the phenomenon that we refer to as death. But in this series of books, The Life and Teachings of the Masters of the Far East. There are these folks who were very sacred people, I would put it that way, who were able to do some wonderful, phenomenal, miraculous things. People who had a tremendous amount of wisdom, people who embodied love to a very, very profound degree. And all of them said that the greatest among them was Jesus. All of them said that the greatest among them was Jesus. And I believe that, like I said earlier, I've been blessed to work with um, people from all different religious and spiritual backgrounds. Um, and quite frankly, some people, um, some people have an aversion to Christianity because of people who who claim to be Christians. Whether a person actually is a Christian who claims to be that or not, I'm not going to get into that. But they have an aversion to Christ because of what they experience from so-called Christians, uh, not actually living in accordance to or in alignment with what Christ is really all about. But the reality is that for a person who is really serious about their spiritual journey, it's very difficult to discount Jesus. If you look at his teachings, if you look at his life and teachings, talked about this series of books, the life and teachings of the Masters of the Far East. If you look at the life and teachings of the Jewish carpenter, uh, who became the Messiah, known as the Messiah, the Christ, you can't discount him. There's he had folk that he worked with directly, people who walked with him and moved with him, that were sitting at his feet and often didn't get it, often missed the mark and just didn't get it, didn't have a framework for conceptualizing a lot of the things that he was demonstrating and sharing and teaching, even though they were walking with him, because he was about a total shift in paradigm, total paradigm shift. Um, and they would ask questions about, what is the way, for us to go? And he would tell them, look at me, you know, you want to see the way, look at me. I am the way. I am the truth. I am the light. Right. And for anybody, regardless of what your quote unquote religion is, um, if you look at the life and teachings of Jesus the Christ, I say again, it'll be difficult to discount him. And so, should non-Christians celebrate Christmas? Why not? Why not? Why not? What beauty! What beauty! And what awesomeness and what love is demonstrated through Jesus. I believe that regardless of what your religious indoctrination is, that is a life to be celebrated. So yes, go ahead and celebrate Christmas. There are questions about should Christians celebrate Christmas, and I know that some don't for their own reasons, but you look at the Christmas season, and for all of the ill that happens in the world, you know, no other time in the year are people more focused on giving, on stepping outside of themselves and wanting to be a blessing to somebody else, right? That's what a spiritual journey is really all about anyway. That's what it's all about anyway. Our lives were intended to be about more than just us. Yes, there are ways where we're called to grow. There are ways where we're challenged to step outside of our own ego, to transcend our own ego, and to walk in the light of love. Yes, there are ways where we're challenged to uh, look beyond what the impact will be simply upon us and look at how will what we're doing impact somebody else? How will it impact the world at large? You know, Jesus is often talked about dying for the sins of the world. But before he died, he had to live. Before he died for anybody, he had to live for people, right? He didn't just happen to have died, he was killed. Why was he killed? He was killed because he was committed to the mission. What was the mission? To teach love and truth, okay? Even in the face of opposition to that, even in the midst of uh, religious institution trying to control people, right? Uh, It was about liberation and freedom for the people, love and healing and deliverance for the people, right? And he was committed to doing that no matter what the personal consequences that he would face would be, right? And ultimately, that ended up being, um, a difficult sentence and a painful one. But the reality is that we are all called to embody. All called to embody what Christ is all about. What Christ is all about. And so, in this season of giving, in this season of giving love and good cheer, peace on earth, goodwill to folks, right? I embrace you. I encourage you. I embrace you, yes. And I also encourage you to embrace Christ, regardless of what your journey is, regardless of where you are on your path. I don't think that it can steer you wrong in any way. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to find, uh, that doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to find people showing up the way that people are quote unquote supposed to show up. It doesn't mean that Christians are necessarily going to behave as Christ always, right? But what I'm wanting to talk with you about right now is really more of a relationship than religious indoctrination. Relationship more so than religious indoctrination. None of us is here, you know, without somebody else having come before us, physically, spiritually, or otherwise, right? Somebody came before us that helped to lay the path for us, that helped to lay a foundation for us, for our existence, as well as for the blessings that we experience in our lives. And so on this day, I want to charge you. I want to encourage you. I want to challenge you to look for ways that you can give. Look for ways that you can give love. Look for ways that you can give encouragement. Look for ways that you can give hope. Look for ways that you can give validation. Mm. So many people do so many things just in search of acceptance, of validation, to have their existence acknowledged, right? People do all kinds of crazy stuff to be acknowledged, to be valued. Give people that gift. See if you what way you can give that gift to people. The people, sometimes it's said that the people who need love the most ask for it in the most unloving ways. Now, that isn't to say that you don't need to set boundaries with people. You most certainly and absolutely do. But see where you can give the gift of grace to people. See where you can give the gift of forgiveness to people. And forgiveness isn't even something you do for others. It's really something that you do for yourself, because there's no point in hanging on to that toxic stuff. That toxicity, that emotional toxicity that is unforgiveness cannot benefit you. It can only poison your insides. Okay. can only poison your insides, ultimately cause damage to your physical body. All right. So anyway, I want to check in with you all. How are you all doing out there? I see Gene Thomason and Curly Conscious King. Who else is out there? And how are you all doing? How are you celebrating your Christmas season? And what kind of things are coming up for you in the midst of this season? Is anybody out there in desire of any healing? Anybody feeling any physical pain in your body temple, or dealing with any stress or anxiety or worry or mourning, grief, from loved ones that have passed on that aren't around anymore to share this time of year with? Okay. Anybody out there? I'd love to hear from you, and I know that we're on a little bit of a delay, so it takes some time from the time that the words come out of my mouth to the time that they're able to enter your ears, since we're broadcasting this through a third-party service, StreamYard, that allows us to broadcast both to YouTube and to Facebook at the same time. And I see that we've got folks who have been here from both. Did I say FaceTime? I meant Facebook, if I didn't say that. See, we've got people here from both Facebook and from YouTube. So I don't see any new comments out there. I was hoping to be able to hear a little bit from you all. To me, Melissa Kelly. Hello there, Melissa Kelly. Good to see you. And Melissa, we still, I'm sure we'll have our conversation soon. I look forward to that. I look forward to that. Okay. Well, I want to say to everybody who's out there, I don't know if I'll be going on live again before Saturday. This coming Saturday, again, is Christmas. I want to say to all of you that I mentioned that I had Christmas music on. I didn't even notice that it had gone off. I want to wish you all a very Merry Christmas. I pray that grace and peace may be upon you, that you may abound in bright blessings. I pray that you might enjoy wonderful time with family, friends, with loved ones. I pray that you feel the love of God shining upon you and shining in you, and that you welcome it into every area of your life. There's no spot where God is not. And the only place that we can get away from God is in our own mind, in our own mindset, in our own thinking. I invite you to take this time to get a little bit closer to God, to allow God, to welcome God's presence into you a little bit more closely, to invite God into your heart, and to take full residence there, to commune with God and to talk with God about any and everything, about life decisions, big and small. I ask God what to wear, what to eat. There's no area in your life that God doesn't want to share with you. The things that you feel embarrassed about or shameful about, those are especially the things worth talking with God about. It's not like God doesn't already know it, but you may need to know that God knows it. And not like the story says of Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden, not try to hide from God. That's what the setup was anyway, to get that man and that woman in a state of feeling shame, and in a state of feeling shame to try to hide from God's presence, to turn them away from God's presence, because in the presence of God is where the real power is. And so, where the enemy of your soul might be trying to tempt you to get away from God, the lover of your soul is ever beckoning you, is ever beckoning you. Come unto me. God is always saying. I invite you to love a little more fully and to allow yourself to be loved a little more fully. Sometimes that requires a degree of vulnerability. And we can always be vulnerable with God because God knows it all anyway. There's nothing about us or our story or our journey or our stuff that God doesn't already know. Let God know about it. Talk to God about it. And maybe there'll be somebody that will be placed in your path in human form that you can talk about some of those same things. Because that's where the real intimacy is. Where the real intimacy is. In that sharing and in that vulnerability. I love you. I'm thankful for your presence on the planet. I'm humbled that God has allowed me to share at least a few steps of life's journey with you, and that our paths have been able to cross. Curly Conscious King says, love, light, and blessings, everyone. May everyone have a phenomenal and safe holiday season. Indeed. Thank you, Curly Conscious King, and the same to you, my brother. God bless you. I love you. I pray that you might cultivate such a relationship with God that you find yourself ultimately in that sustainable state of supreme satisfaction. And as always, peace and love.